how much does a bowl win, and I know in this team's case they just got one, how much does that help recruiting momentum, in your opinion?
It does this year. It helps next year's class more than it does this year's class, just because, with the early signing, we've signed most of our guys. But it shows the momentum of the team and how they see the crowd down there. They see the love behind, the support and everything for the program, and they just see it going in the right direction. You've got in years past where you weren't in bowl games, you're trying to recruit kids, and, you're not in a bowl game, you're trying to say, hey, we need you. Well, now they can prove it out there. So, we need you. We need you to make that next step. And the next step is trying to win an SEC West championship.
When you look at momentum, a lot of times continuity is paired along with it. You've got players, coaches, a set of them that stay with each other. And I wonder, from your perspective, do you think that Arkansas, based on what you've heard, based on just kind of what you've seen with certain hires being made, you think Arkansas can retain Kendall Briles and Barry Odom for just one more year at least?
That's the hope, and when you can keep your coaches and keep the system the same, you can see it makes so many things better on your program because everybody knows what's going on. But Alabama, they lose guys all the time and they keep the same program. So college coaches, they know how to make everything work. When assistants leave, we haven't seen Sam Pittman do that yet. At some point, he's going to have to. But for our program, you want to be able to keep them. You want to be able to keep them for the recruits that you've got, and I think that they enjoy the program. I think. That they see the love around the state. They love, Fayetteville, Arkansas. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that. And so, maybe we may have to pay them a little bit more, but that's the goal, is to keep them and keep this thing moving in the right direction.
And, hopefully paying equals wins, but, just the scale goes up everywhere. I was talking as you were coming into the conversation about just the reality and the difficulty of getting 8 or 9 wins in a regular season. And I know you can point to a 2-point conversion in a play here or there that might have swayed the outcome. You look at the Auburn game, you scratch your head, but take all of that away from this past season and just look at it in normal terms. Getting 4 or 5 wins in the SEC and then running the table in your non-conference slate is much more difficult than I think we think on the surface when we just make a cursory statement about 8, 9 wins, whatever. You start doing the math, you start figuring out that what goes into it, Brad. And I don't think until you stop and slow down and breathe a little bit, you understand how difficult, it's not settling for mediocrity, but the difficulty of winning 5 games in this league is.
Absolutely. And you got to look at SEC West, all teams were bowl eligible. And so if you're getting that amount of wins with all those, you get a good win against A&M and they beat Bama. The only game we really didn't show up for was the Georgia game. And so that's that next step, is we've got to be able to play those really tough teams on the road and show up early when it's an early football game. And they figured that out, and that was one of the things that was great about the program, is you could see them make improvements. When they had a bad game or when they made a lot of mistakes, they came back and corrected a lot of those mistakes, and that's what you want to see. And it's huge to get 8 wins in the regular season, move on to 9, and yes, a couple games here or there, you're a little bit more, but then you could say the same thing if the ball bounces a certain way, which it usually has in the past for Arkansas, and you've got 1 or 2 wins less. And so you just got to build off that momentum and be proud of it, because it's huge in this league. There's a lot of teams that would love to have 8, 9 win in the SEC West right now, and be able to build off that in recruiting and just moving forward to the next season.
All right, so when you focus in on recruiting and building your roster, where's the area you've got to excel in consistently every year? Is it as simple as just saying offensive line, defensive line, or with a state our size, a recruiting base our size, the lack of 4- and 5-star players consistently in Arkansas? Where's the area you've got to always be good at and have a succession plan or a reservoir of players in order to be in that 8-win conversation annually? What's your Jimmy's and Joe's X's and O's football opinion on that area of the team?
Well, I think with every football program, it starts up front. And you look at the really good programs in college and the NFL, and they've got a good offensive line, just because they can, they're allowed to give protection to the quarterback to let them do something. And it lets your running backs be able to run free and get up on those linebackers and those D-backs when they're breaking through the hole, and that's huge. And so when you can build that, a good solid core on that line, and then when you get those recruits, you give them time to develop. We don't have to throw guys into the fire that, they hadn't had a year under their belt under the strength staff of Arkansas. You give them time to grow and develop as a player. It's big. It's big when they get to go up against good on good instead of, when I say good on good is a good offensive line versus a good defensive line. When you're practicing it, they all get better. And so the better that you get there, the better you're going to be on the football field, because now, we've got quarterbacks, we've got receivers, you've got playmakers, even though that, we always say they're not 3 or 4 or 5 star players. These guys are good players. And so the developmental of players, you can see the guys that, even go on to the next level of the NFL. Those are guys that had to work hard to get better every single day, and then those are the guys that you want in your locker room, the guys that want to be there. And
you look at the last 20 years or so, 22, since 2000, the better teams always had a generational type talent, and those are easier to talk about than they are to find and recruit. But you look at Matt Jones, you look at Darren McFadden, you look at the quarterbacks with Tyler Wilson and Ryan Mallett, and the better teams, the better years, and that's what's been lacking seemingly, is that skill position player until this year with KJ that really kind of transformed the offense. And I think that's the other missing piece. How you consistently know you're going to have one of those, I don't know, but that always seems to be the X factor in all the better teams since, say, 2000.
Absolutely, and we all wish we had a magic 8 ball where we could produce those guys year in and year out, and that really kind of just falls on the coaching staff. Being able to recruit well and being able to pick out talent, of seeing where a guy's at and knowing that maybe he can come in and sit for a couple of years, and then he develops those skills. He's already got that kind of base core skill, but he develops it and makes it better to where he can produce it on the field. And you're right, you get those guys, you might be talking Heisman again. Like that's where our goal is, when you get a player that they can be in that conversation, because if they get in that conversation, then obviously we're getting the wins and we're producing on the field. And again, it starts up front, be able to protect for those guys and give them time to get the ball in the playmaker's hands, and it kind of all works hand in hand. And I think we're on the right path. We just got to continue to recruit that way.
Brett, you talk about recruiting. I don't know if you saw the story that's being reported from Oklahoma Insider that Texas A&M spent $25 to $30 million on this number 1 recruiting class from their boosters via NIL deals. And I just wonder, first, starting in the College Station camp, how much pressure is there on Jimbo now to deliver? And I'm talking about an SEC title. And 2, if you're Sam Pittman and you're Arkansas, how do you combat that type of money that's getting thrown around with recruiting?
Well, it's tough. It definitely puts pressure on Jimbo. It puts pressure on the players. Let's be honest. Like, these guys, it's a lot of money. Things are going their way, but now they've got to produce on the field, because their mind's not all on football. Their mind's on money and other deals. And so you might be able to go in and get wins a little bit easier, because they might be doing an autograph signing that week, and they're not even paying attention to what's going on. And that we saw that this year, and I think we'll see that more next year. And as this thing kind of builds, of how do these guys kind of separate the two? And for like Pittman and Arkansas, and there's a ton of schools that aren't going to produce that kind of money for NIL, that they've got to just continue on the same path and get the guys that they can get, and really build those guys. Because you look at the NIL, I think there's going to be a lot more people transferring yearly, and so when you build a team, you want that core to stay together. You want to be able to, like this year, we had a huge senior class, and we produced 9 wins on the field. So if we can get those guys to produce on the field and stay together as a team, the guys that want to be here and love Arkansas, those are the ones that you want, and the money will come for them. But the big money for those guys, at the end of the day, they get a big chunk of change, but only 2% of these guys are going to play in the NFL and actually have a career in the NFL. So that their education is important, and they've got to still instill that into them, that they are student athletes, even though they're getting that money. And right now, Coach Pittman and his staff are doing it, as well as some other, schools across the country that are having to deal with this.
Now, that's an SEC West team that's going to be facing pressure this upcoming season. And another SEC team that faces pressure is the Georgia Bulldogs on Monday night. They've already lost to Alabama once. Kirby's 0-for against his former boss, Nick Saban. Heading into this football game, Brett, how much pressure is he under to deliver on Georgia's first national championship since 1980?
It's huge. And, it's like the Tom Brady effect. Do they go out there and say, oh, man, when the things kind of get rough, here goes Alabama, they're going to win it again? Those players have been there. They saw Alabama come out there and pretty much destroy them earlier. And, they've got some guys getting paid in the NIL in there. So they've got pressure all around. The pressure, again, even though Alabama and Nick Saban have won so many national championships, that Georgia is the better football team. We saw that all year, of consistently playing well, and so it's all on their shoulders. And so you wonder if those guys go out there and they're played too tight, So you've got to get those guys loose and play in the right mindset and just play their game, and they'll have a shot. And I hope it's going to be a good ball game because, time will tell. But the semifinal wasn't as much fun to watch because it just wasn't what we were expecting coming into a playoff game. And so this one, it's hopefully going to be a good game and see a good turnout.
Any prediction on Monday night?
I still think, it's like if Bill Belichick was in the Super Bowl, I'm going to pick Bill unless they're playing the Packers, and I want the Packers to win. But it's like Nick Saban. He's been there so many times. He's got the upper hand, and until Kirby can beat him, you've got to pick Nick Saban in Alabama because they've been there. They know what's going on. And these guys are hungry. They had that loss, and it changed their football program. They had guys that hadn't lost, and for their first couple of years, and so it's just going to be I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, obviously, for the national title. The guys are going to be into it, but I'm going to pick Alabama probably by 10.
All right, Brett Goode, former Razorback, 10-year veteran in the NFL. He's with us every Wednesday here on the Morning Rush. You're now the specialist with Henderson Phillips, someone listening this morning that needs a better employee benefits package, whether it's health insurance, group dental, life, vision, even commercial and personal insurance. You're the go-to guy.
That's right. We try and be the go-to guy and use the same work ethic that I had in the NFL for so long, and you really try and sell yourself on service and being able to do the best thing, get the best game plan for people. And so it's been a fun, exciting time, and would love the opportunity to work with new people. All
right, one of the best things if you're listening out there about doing business with Brett, he's always available to you. Here's his cell phone number. The one we're talking to him on right now, 651-2292. That's 479-651-2292. Call or text anytime. And, Brett, you'd love to chat about all their needs and maybe a little football as well.
Yeah, we can talk football. We can talk needs. We can just kind of start the conversation and introduce myself and show you that I am human and I'm not just talking on the radio.
There you go. 651-2292. It does take a lot of superpowers, though, to talk on the radio, so don't sell yourself short. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you next week about the national champion, whoever it is.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, Brett Goode with us here on the Morning Rush.
Online has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all sports action. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.